Alright, hello and welcome to Stampscaping 101. We have these previously stamped pieces on gold and silver foil. And as I've been mentioning to people on the Facebook group that they ask, hey, doesn't that ink just kind of wipe off, or do you spray seal them? Well, I spray sealed, but I forgot to spray seal these ones. Or no, I didn't forget to spray seal. I noticed there were some scratches. I just have these stacked up, and I was giving them out with orders that we had received, and I noticed there's all kinds of lines, just from a stack of scenes and the movement of them. You can see the kind of linear scratches through them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to repair some of that right now. Okay, you can see that right here. It just kind of wipes right off. Let's see if I can even wipe it off with my finger. See that right there? It's just coming right off on my finger. Pigment inks they've always been a surface-oriented medium, okay? The oil in them tends to soak into the pulp of the paper on regular cardstock. Now you have a kind of a non-porous surface, such as foils are. Most foils that I've played around with and experimented on are non-porous, so you have kind of a drying by evaporation. You can heat set them and whatnot, and they will dry just fine, but they are very, very much on the surface. And the property that allows you to move them around to blend them into a piece of paper like this is also the property that has it sitting on the surface and not really adhering very well. So what I use is I just use, I don't have it right here. I have it next. I keep my Krylon not triple thick, but the UV-resistant clear right next to my back door of the house, and I go there and spray them. But, the Krylon, this is a clear glaze. This is a triple thick right here. I don't know. I haven't used the triple thick on here before, but just any types of these acrylic sealants will do the trick. Even a workable fixative will be fine on here. The workable fixatives aren't glossy, so it'll give it more of a matte finish, though. But I give, these ones such a very thin coat that, I don't know, the workable fixative would probably be fine, but look at that scratch right through there. So let's see how to just repair this should this happen to you. Now, I also have these clear, not for a slimline card like this, but these clear envelopes that you can also, if you don't spray seal and you have those envelopes, just when these things are dry, let's see, this one's not a scratched foil, you can just put them in a envelope, and if they were going to be displayed in it and not, taken out and handled by, let's say, the recipient of your card, you can also just do that. And that's what I was doing for most of my first, I don't know, quite a few foil cards that I did. Just because I didn't know if, okay, so the Brilliance ink, I didn't know if the inks, this oil-based, there's some kind of solvent in it. I didn't know if it would dissolve and go back into solution when sprayed. So I wanted to kind of avoid that, so I didn't spray. But then, I don't know, I waited for it to dry completely, and before, testing out the spray, I should have tested it out earlier, but I don't know, I was just betting on, you can see how much whiter this is when freshly applied, but it'll kind of dry more like that, because they're much more opaque and light when this ink is freshly applied. Okay, so it'll mellow out. Now I could mask some of this off and do that, but I'm just doing some patchwork here like so. You can see it a lot in this area right up here. I don't know, maybe I can do some fine tuning going back into it like this. Yeah, but I thought it would go back into solution, but it didn't, and I don't know, it didn't seem to manipulate the inks at all. And sometimes too with pigment inks, when you apply it and it's kind of in this thin kind of application like this, if it's on like a glossy cardstock and you've applied like a fog technique or something of that sort, it if you spray it too heavy, it's like if you spray pastels or chalks or something like that too heavily, it can have a tendency of disappearing on you. So, um, I kind of avoided doing it for that reason too. But I don't know. Maybe it's because the amount that I've spray sealed, but it just didn't seem to matter at all, which is really surprising because if anything's going to be very, very surface oriented, more than a cardstock, it would be this, but it's no problem at all. And maybe because maybe it didn't disappear like a charcoal, or a light pastel or chalk. Maybe it didn't disappear because this medium on the foil, there's more contrast, I guess, with the foil, maybe. The foil has all kinds of different characters. I mean, here it's really dark, here it's really light, with the reflections. So, um, I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not sure. Just the inherent characteristics of it have something to do with it, and I'm not really exactly sure what it is, but it works in our favor in terms of protection, longevity, whatever, just sealing it in general. All right, this is a really big one. Someone's going to get a gigantic piece like this here. I really like this slimline format. Boy, I have a lot of clouds on this one, so there's all kinds of scratches up there. It almost looks kind of cool. You might be able to, some artist would be able to lay down some of this and take like a brush or comb and get that texturing into their things and use it like you know, a textural strategy, you know, to add textural, I don't know, variation, contrast, range, whatever, into their pieces. And I think that would look really interesting. It'd be interesting to do some cross hatching into these forms purposefully, though, not just random, scratches, that happened, unexpectedly or unwantedly too. Okay. All right. So adding this in, really having to build it up here. Whatever oops, I got a little bit of a blue in there. It's off my pad. There was something on my pad, a little chunk of blue something. Let's see. It's just going to become, let's see. Oh, you can just wipe it right off. That's what I always tell people. Something happens in a Stampscape scene. What do? I just wipe it off, and or I cover it up. In this case, I wiped it off and I covered it up with some additional ink. So it's no big deal. That's why I never panic. It doesn't mean that, when I'm working on something, I know something is absolutely 100% going to work out. It usually does, when you kind of see something to, I don't know, its finality in terms of working it through the different processes that I do. But not everything, not every experiment, I don't know, is successful, I would say, in terms of a good-looking finished piece. But, I don't know, with this pigment ink here, this white pigment ink, on most things, it really is the ultimate remedy for whatever ails you from a visual standpoint. Okay, this one had a lot of repair work. There were some deep gouges in there. Boy, I really had to get some of that in there. It actually looks better though, doesn't it? Having that kind of deeper contrast in those clouds. But like I said, when that dries off, it's probably going to uh, darken somewhat and become much more trans, transparent. It'll move in the translucency um, range closer to transparent. Okay, I mean, it's not going to be transparent, but just kind of moving in that direction. It looks very opaque when you apply it in mass. Okay, in some of these areas. Okay, this one wasn't too bad. Just a couple little minor scuffs on there. It's always in the white. When I make the impressions in the black, I haven't seen like a scratch through black in any of the impressions. It's maybe it's because when I'm doing the white, it's usually just in a thin, you know, foggy layer. But when we do it in the black, okay, we're making a thick impression of it, so the ink is built up more, and it's just a thicker, less prone to, scratching application of it. So I don't know that I guess that would be said. So sometimes I stamp out word stamps in the white, over these. And I'm guessing that would be less prone to scratching off too. But we're all going to seal them, right? I would really suggest you get some Krylon UV or just something of that sort. Some people use hairspray, okay? And not only that, but it enriches things. So when this black here dries, I don't know if you can tell, but see how flat it looks in terms of an ink? But when it stamps out, it's very dark and glossy, right? Because it's wet. And this particular ink, it's because it's oil-based too. But that will become darker and richer looking, much more akin to what it looked like when it was freshly stamped. It's not going to have the build-up now of a wet ink because it's thick, it has the oil in it and whatnot. This one, it dries and all that evaporates from it, but it'll get a little bit darker. Okay, so when you spray seal, standard spray painting spray can technique. Okay, you hold it at distance and don't just start spraying right into it. You kind of go off, and then you kind of do swiping motions. Hit it, wipe, hit it, wipe, hit it, wipe, or you just go burst, burst, burst from a distance. And hit it like that in some areas. A lot of times I go a little bit more perimeter oriented and I hit the center a little bit less, okay? So it's a little bit more sealed on the outside, but sealed enough on the inside. And what I do with that, the reason why I do that a little bit less in the center here is because oftentimes I have this central, lighting through here. It's lighter through the center of a card, okay? You can even see it on, this one right here. This isn't foil, but, just cardstock, but you can see where it's, the center area. And that's where sometimes, see, that real delicate application of the white there. I don't want to lose that and have it become transparent where you can't even see that fog rising from there. Okay, but that being said, you can also do this. After you spray seal, okay, it might change the spirit of some of it. You might think, oh my God, I lost all that kind of delicate application of white. Go over it again. It'll apply to the sealant, okay? And then you let that dry. And then just when you hit it, and then just spray seal it again, but very, very lightly, just to seal in that extra layer of white. So you're sandwiching these layers of, it would be kind of like a floating layer of mist. Look at this one right here. See, I wasn't doing this before. I was usually going with white and then stamping this the images over it, but I found out that you can also go, that looks really good, you can sandwich the black impressions in here now too, in some additional fog like this, let's say around the cabin, like this. And I think that looks really good. So you have, in a sense, clouds in the background, up in the sky, whatever, miles away or whatever. And then you have this little cabin here, and the mist is kind of like a cloud, right? It's illuminated moisture suspended in the air. And now you have it in the foreground, so you have this cabin that's being, from a visual standpoint, enveloped in that same substance, of moisture up there is down here, so it's kind of sandwiched in between that element. And when you get that, it's this kinesthetic type of notion or a feeling that something is being, it's like sitting in a, I don't know, like a nest of illuminated light or something like it. You know, it's like softness, it's soft illumination, okay? So from an emotional standpoint, I feel that that really lends itself to the emotional theme, okay? We're always thinking about color themes, color schemes, lighting schemes, okay? This is kind of an emotional scheme right here, brought about through, you know, lighting right here. So, yeah, so that looks, I think it looks better like that now. See that right there? Now it looks real white, but it's going to mellow out a little bit, you know, look a little more like that. So you can see it up here too, where I've kind of hit it. So little fine tuning and whatnot on these pieces here. Let's see here. Let's do the same thing on this one. It doesn't take, you know, when I mention to people when they get some stamps, you know, if they write back to me or something, received my stamps, I always tell them, hey, if you have any questions, you know, just send me an email if you have any kind of want some advice or whatever. But oftentimes it's these little tiny tweaks, you know, that takes people's scenes right over the top, I believe, you know, instead of just laying down white, black over the top of it, done. You kind of go back in and add another layer of white. You know, that took, you know, a few seconds, but it really changed the spirit of this impression right there, that stamp, Lakeside Cove. Like that, doesn't it? It's sitting in something now. And yeah, like I said, it's, I don't know, that took like 5 seconds or something like that, or 10, I don't know what it was, to just add that in there. So I'm learning all kinds of new things all the time too, you know, as far as what we can do, applications, when we can add it in. Sometimes I just don't think to do that, you know, I just, maybe I don't think to it in the moment because I was letting this ink dry naturally without heat setting it. So I couldn't come back in over the top of it because it was a wet image, right? So, I don't know. Things reveal themselves sometimes, you know, not in the moment of the creation of the piece. All right, so anyways, there we have it. Then there's scratches throughout those clouds and whatnot. And I'll allow these to dry. And then we'll go outside and spray seal, and then they'll be ready to go. I don't know. Something like a slimline card, I would have to cut this down if I wanted to kind of frame it off and whatnot. But these smaller ones I should format. They look so much better when they, you know, you mat them and, I don't know, kind of mount them on a different colored piece of paper. Maybe some silver Star Dream, you know, kind of iridescent type of paper to go with the silver. Kind of chrome, you know, super metallic mirrored type of look. I think that would look really good. Oh, here it is right here. Here's the silver, you know, but you do something like that. Let's see what it would look like right here. You put a little thin layer of that around it like that. Look at that right there. Wouldn't that be kind of a nice, elegant theme? The silver looks, it's really amazing that this silver right here, this iridescent silver, normally would be the star of whatever card format you're doing because it's that, but you get this chrome here and, you know, it's like this thing looks like so, I don't know, you know, pedestrian. It's a good compliment for this though. You can even triple, mat it and mount it and put like a black around it or something like that. But see this how it's kind of reflective and shimmery like that. There might not be enough contrast between the white and this, but I don't know, it looks pretty good. Maybe go white, then black, then silver, or something of that sort. Okay, but anyways, spray seal your pieces. Spray seal all your pieces, even if you're doing, I don't know, whatever, inks on matte paper, regular dye-based inks or whatnot. It just makes them look so much better. And it also protects them too. And then if you get the UV, there's I don't know, a little bit extra layer of protection. Not that you should put kind of dye-based ink created pieces and put them in full sunlight or something like that. But, if you're sending your cards out, handmade cards, if someone appreciates your cards, they often have it out, for much longer because it's the handmade one. And it's just, it's sitting on wherever, a mantle or whatever, or on the refrigerator and something like that. The UV protection can provide a little bit of extra protection. I don't know if it's going to make something light fast. That means non-fading, but it can protect it a little bit. And one can go a long way. I don't know, probably seal off and improve the saturation and depth of color on maybe, I don't know, maybe up to 200 cards or something like that if it's, the regular size ones or whatnot. Just a quick spray seal. Okay, so anyways, hope that comes in handy for those that wish to see scratched foil pieces and how to remedy it. All right, thanks for watching.